created a simple application in Visual Basic that might serve as a data entry form for a project. And on this form I have 3 labels, 3 text boxes, and a button. And the text boxes I've named TXT first name, TXT last name, and TXT school, and then BTN submit for the button. In this lesson I want to talk about something called the focus as well as the tab order. Let me just run my application. So if you look closely here, you'll see the cursor is flashing in the text box to the right of enter first name. And that cursor tells me that that text box has the focus. And if I type from the keyboard, what I type will go into the text box that has the focus. Now I can click on the next text box to go to it to enter the last name, or I can press the tab key and it takes the cursor to that text box. It is following what we call the tab order. Again, I can tab and I go to the next text box. And from there I can press the tab again, and you think it might go back up to the first name, but it doesn't. It tabs to the button. And notice how the button changed. I got a blue border around it, and the color is set up in my Windows themes. But that now tells me that the button has the focus. You'll see a little dotted line around it as well if you look really carefully. And if I were to press the enter key, that's the same as clicking the button. Now I didn't code anything on this button yet, so it doesn't do anything. But if I then press the tab key again, it goes back up to my first name, last name, school, button. I can cycle through those. Those are the tab orders in terms of which object has the focus. Now you can think of the focus as running a relay race. There's a baton that is passed from runner to runner in a relay race, and only one person can hold that baton at any one time. There's probably a split second there where both people have a hold of it. But in essence, in Visual Basic, only one object has the focus at any given time, and we can pass that focus with the tab. And the tab order by default is the order in which the objects were created. I created my label for first name and my text box for TXT first name, copied and pasted those. Those were so that last name was created next. Copied and pasted again, made some changes. That was my next creation, and then I created the button. If I created the button between these two, then it would get the focus between those two. And it doesn't matter where these are on the screen. For instance, I can move the button up here move the school down, and if I run, you're going to see it tabs between first name, last name, school, and then the button. The visual placement of them on the form has no impact in that tab order. It's the order that they are created. Well, what happens? I'm going to go back here and just bring the button back down. Let's take our school, bring it back up. What if I wanted to add some more data entry text boxes to this form? For example, I'm going to take the TXT last name, copy and paste. Let's make this the middle name. And then I'm going to add one more. Just move this down a little bit. Let's make this major. And I'll make this one TXT major. Now remember that tab order is the order in which we created these. So if I run this now, it goes from first name down to last name, down to school, to my submit button, to middle name, to major. That's really not the order I want. I want it to be able to go from first name to middle name to last name to major to school and to the submit button. So how can I fix that? Each of these items has something called a tab index. Now I created the label first. It has a tab index of 0. This one has a tab index of 1. This one has a tab index of 7. Remember, it was created much later than the others. And there's a tab index of 8. My button is a tab index of 6. So I can modify these tab index values, and if I change one to, let's say I take this one and I'm going to change it to 2 and make this one 3. Well, now if I run, I'm going from the first name to the middle name to the last name, then it goes down to school, button, and major. So I've changed the tab order by changing that tab index. Not a horrible process to go through in this small data form, but maybe our form has 30 different items that we're having people enter into it, some type of business form. That can get a little tedious to go through and change all those tab orders, and chances are I might make a mistake. So here's a better way to do it. I'm going to go to the View menu and choose Tab Order. I get some blue boxes with numbers in them that shows the current tab order. Remember, we always start counting with 0. So here's what we do with that tab order. I can now click the order that I want, and notice it's changing those numbers to the order I want. I'm going to click the last one, they'll turn blue again. And now I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All in the visual order that I want it to be in. Now you're asking probably a question of, well, what about the labels? I didn't see it tabbed to those labels. Well, the label can't get the focus. The label passes the focus on to the next item. So when we're creating a label for a text box, we want to have that label be a tab order index of 1 less than the text box. That way it'll pass it to the text box. Let's take a look at this running now. My focus is in first name. I tab to middle, last, major, school, and the submit button. That's how we change the tab order. We're going to go back to the view and turn the tab order off. Each of our text boxes has an event called enter. That's not pressing the enter key. That means when the control gets the focus. We've entered into that control. There's also a leave event when it loses the focus. Now we can use those to our advantage. So I can take my 5 text boxes, and for the enter event, let's say text box got focus. There used to be a got focus event. They seem to have taken that out, so we'll just use the enter. Text box got focus can be the name of my event handler. I'm going to press enter, and you can see that it is handling those 5 different text boxes with the enter event. We have in our parentheses here for the event handler, sender as object. That's the object that I've clicked or tabbed to. So entering into a text box occurs when we click on the text box or we tab to the text box. They'll both handle this. But I'm going to use this sender object. I'm going to create a variable called TB as a text box, and it's going to equal sender. So whatever sender is will be aliased over to TB. And then I can say TB dot back color equals color, let's use yellow. I'm going to go back to my design. I want to choose those same 5 text boxes. Let's do the leave event as text box lost focus. Now we're handling the leave event for all 5 of those. I'm going to copy my code here and paste. And all I'm going to do is change this yellow to white. So when the text box loses the focus, it's going to set its back color to white. Let's watch what happens. Starting my application, the TXT first name text box gets the focus. It's entered into it, and so it turns it yellow. But if I tab from there to middle name, you'll notice it becomes white, and the middle name one becomes yellow, and down through the line. This can be really handy when you have a data form with a lot of fields, and it might be a tendency for the user to lose where the cursor is or which field is the active one. This adds a nice visual component to determine which field when I type is my text going to go into. Let's go back to our form. Now I added a clear form button here. I'm going to code that. We'll say txt first name dot clear. I want to clear all 5 text fields. We can also use the .text equals quote quote, an old string. Either way works. So there's my code to clear all 5 of those text boxes. Let me run this again. We'll go ahead and enter some text here. And so if I click the clear form button, it will clear the text in all of those. But notice where the focus is. The focus is still on that clear form button. And if I type something from the keyboard, nothing's going to go into any of these fields. I have to come up and click on that field, and then I can enter the next record. That's one less step that I think my user would probably appreciate not having to do. So I want to change it when we click the clear form that it clears all 5 of the text boxes and makes the top text box here, this txt first name, have the focus. And it's very easy to do that. In my code, I can specify txt first name dot, and there is a method called focus that gives that field or that text box the focus. Now if I run it, I'm going to put some data in each of those. Click the clear form button. It clears those 5 text fields and sets the focus back into txt first name. So that's how we can use the focus and tab order to our advantage in creating a simple data entry form. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.